Long ago, in a bright and peaceful kingdom, a baby girl was born to the king and queen. They named her Aurora, and all the bells rang in celebration. 3 good fairies came to bless the child. One gave her beauty, one gave her a sweet voice, and the third began to give her the gift of joy. But before she could speak, the wind howled. A dark fairy appeared, angry she was not invited. She raised her hand and said, "On her 16th birthday, Aurora will prick her finger on a spinning wheel and fall into a deep, endless sleep." The court was silent. Then the third fairy gently stepped forward. "I cannot undo the curse," she said, "but I can change it. Aurora will sleep, yes, but not forever. She will wake when someone shows her true care from the heart." To protect her, the king banned all spinning wheels. Aurora grew up in a cottage hidden deep in the forest. She was curious, kind, and loved the world around her. But on her 16th birthday, in a quiet old tower, she found a spinning wheel. She reached out without knowing, and pricked her finger. She fell into a deep sleep. The castle slept too. Time passed. Trees grew tall. Vines wrapped around stone. Many years later, a kind boy named Leo heard stories of the sleeping kingdom. He wasn't a prince, just a boy who liked to help and fix things. He followed the trail of quiet wind and wildflowers until he found the castle. Inside, everything was still. He walked softly until he found Aurora, glowing gently in sleep. He didn't try to wake her with magic or a kiss. He simply sat beside her and said, "You are not alone. The world still waits for you." And that was enough. Aurora stirred. The spell cracked like ice under sunlight. She opened her eyes and looked around. The air shifted. The castle woke. She stood tall, stretched, and smiled. Not because someone saved her, but because someone believed in her. If you liked this story, tap the heart and follow 4 more magical tales that spark the imagination.
Once upon a time, in a quiet village, there lived a girl named Cinderella. She swept the floors, she mended the clothes, she sang to the birds who perched on her windowsill. Her stepmother and stepsisters were often unkind. They gave her extra chores and laughed when her hands were covered in dust. But Cinderella didn't let bitterness grow inside her. She whispered kind wishes to herself every morning. Be gentle, be strong, keep dreaming. One day, an invitation arrived from the palace, a grand ball. Everyone was invited. Cinderella's heart fluttered. But her stepsisters took the best dresses and rushed off without her. Alone, she sat by the fire and sighed. "I don't want to be fancy," she said. "I just want to be seen." In a shimmer of moonlight, a soft breeze stirred the room. A kind figure appeared, her fairy godmother, not loud or glittery, but gentle and glowing. "You have always been more than they see," she whispered. With a quiet wave, Cinderella's dress transformed, not into gold, but into soft blue petals, like a sky in spring. Her shoes sparkled like puddles under starlight, and her heart felt ready. At the ball, the prince noticed her kindness first, the way she smiled at the musicians, the way she helped a nervous guest find their seat. She didn't try to impress anyone. She was simply herself. When the clock chimed midnight, she didn't panic. She thanked the prince, curtsied, and walked into the night with her head held high. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. The prince arrived, not with a shoe, but with a question. "I don't know your name," he said, "but I remember your kindness. May I know you better?" Cinderella smiled. "You may, because magic isn't in glass slippers. It's in how gently you treat the world and yourself." If you loved this story, tap like and subscribe for more fairy tales that lift little hearts. Once upon a time, in a quiet village near the edge of a great forest, a kind couple wished for a child. One day, their dream came true. A baby girl was born with golden hair that shimmered like sunlight. They named her Rapunzel, but a jealous sorceress named Gothel took the baby away. She locked Rapunzel high in a tower deep in the woods. The tower had no door and only one window. The only way up was to climb her long hair. Rapunzel grew up hearing only Gothel's voice. She was told the world was dangerous, but Rapunzel was curious and kind. She painted the sky on her walls. She imagined the wind and the trees. She read books, asked questions, and waited for the day she would see the world herself. One morning, Rapunzel stood by her window and said, "I am not waiting any longer. I will not be trapped forever." She began tying bed sheets and curtains into a long rope. It took days, then weeks, but she was determined. Every knot was a step closer to freedom. One afternoon, a traveler named Eli heard her singing. He followed the sound and looked up. "Are you all right?" he asked. Rapunzel smiled. "You are the first kind voice I have heard in years," she said. "I am ready to leave. I just need someone to hold this rope steady." With Eli's help, she climbed down. Her feet touched grass for the first time. She laughed. She danced. She breathed in freedom. Rapunzel did not return to the tower. She studied the stars. She wrote books. She helped other girls learn they were strong too. Gothel faded into a forgotten story, but Rapunzel became a legend. Not because a prince saved her, but because she believed in herself. She was not just the girl with long hair. She was the girl who made a way out, who saw the world, who helped others find the courage to climb. And she lived happily, boldly, freely, on her own terms. Like and subscribe for more empowering fairy tales for kids. New stories every week. Do not miss the magic. In a quiet corner of a faraway kingdom, there lived a girl named Snow White. She had hair as dark as night, eyes soft as clouds, and a heart full of light. But not everyone saw her that way. In the castle, whispers followed her. The queen, who once called her beautiful, now looked at her with eyes that felt cold. Snow White didn't ask for praise or attention. She simply helped where she could. She picked wildflowers for the cooks, sang to the laundry maids, and always listened when someone needed to talk. One morning, with the breeze brushing her cheeks, Snow White left the castle. Not because she was told to, but because her heart said it was time. She wandered through the forest until she found a tiny cottage tucked beneath the trees. It was quiet. With a smile, she swept the floors, opened the windows, and let the sunlight in. Soon, she wasn't alone. 7 curious friends, small, busy, and bursting with personality, appeared at her door. They had never met someone like her. She didn't command or correct. She simply asked, "How can I help?" And they helped her too. They built her a garden. They read her stories. They reminded her that home is where you feel seen. Back at the castle, the queen watched from afar, but something in her heart softened. Snow White hadn't fought back. She had just glowed. In time, the queen sent a letter, not an apology, but a beginning. Snow White read it slowly, then placed it under a wildflower on her windowsill. She didn't need a prince. She didn't need revenge. She had herself, her kindness, her courage, her voice. And in that little cottage under the trees, Snow White finally felt free. If this story made your heart feel full, tap like and subscribe for more magical tales that celebrate kindness and self-belief.